Hello YouTube, what is up? I feel like I have cooked an incredibly awesome build. I'm going to hop straight into a map so you guys can see gameplay as soon as possible. I don't generally try to do too many scripted things, so we'll just hop into a T16 map that's decently juiced with some quantity and some other stuff. The only notable thing that I don't do is I don't run Delirium. But I'll just kind of go through what I'm doing in the map. Right now, I'm weapon swapping to my scepter and wand to get power charges, get my charge staff up, and then just stack up some power charges. I'm getting volatility from sacrificing my minions. I'll explain this tech later on. And then you're about to see some really insane tech. One of the requirements for this build, if you want to run Herald of Ice, is a 5080 Ti. But what I will do here is just continue flying through the map so that you can get a good feel for what some baseline clear is like, so it's not a cherry-picked clip, it's just what it looks like standardly. You'll notice there are some fire explosions that is just making it so that our Herald is almost chaining, is what it feels like. It's not actually chaining, but you'll see how that is happening so that we get insane levels of clear not previously thought possible with Heralds anymore. Right now I'm spec'd into essentially full attack speed so that my flickers come out as quickly as possible. Getting a divine orb doesn't suck for the video. And I think that just about does it for a good baseline of what you guys would be able to see for something like this. So we'll just head back into a town. I did grab the div. I didn't leave anything else important on the ground. There you go. Got the div out in there, and we'll pop that in. Okay, so now that I am going to go through the skills, the skill tree, all of that kind of stuff, and then I'll probably insert a clip of me doing Breach Boss right after I do skills. So the really beautiful thing about this build and why it is so amazing is that you can do Herald of Ice, you can do Herald of Thunder, you could do both. So you can really have this be whatever ailment that you really prefer. And the main way that this is engaged and most possible with Acolyte of Chayula is these new lineage supports. Chaos damage with hits contributes to freeze buildup. Chaos damage from hits contributes to lightning buildup. Fire damage from hits contributes to, or chaos damage from hits contributes to, ignite buildup. And then the most important one is chaos damage from hits breaks armor equal to 20% of the chaos damage dealt by skills. So if we put Armor Explosion and Ulnatal's Embrace in one of our heralds, we're actually going to be able to have double exploding heralds, whether that's thunder, whether that's ice. You can really pick and choose what your flavor is, and the defenses for this build are also pick and choose. So it's very versatile. Ulnatal's Embrace, if you want those big explosions that you were just seeing and just flying through the map like it's nothing. This thing is like 7 div, so I won't say that this is a budget version, but I did have in my previous video still crazy flicker clearing speed, just not quite as widespread mapping. That can be achieved for 2 or 3 divine. So check out that last video and we'll just continue going through the skills. So why does this work on Acolyte of Chayula over a lot of other ascendancies better than anything? Well, one of the primary defensive layers for Acolyte of Chayula is chaos damage leeches from our ascendancy Sap of Nightmares. And because chaos damage leeches, you can go a life, slightly smaller energy shield based character with evasion and have leech recover your mana from chaos damage or recover your life from that. Or you can do what I did and do Essentia Sanguis. Essentia Sanguis converts our life leech to energy shield leech, which is why we're able to run CI and all energy shield gear on our stuff. That's the preferred way that I like to do it. You can definitely do evasion though. The reason why Acolyte also does this so well is all of this is based on chaos damage with hits. Yes, other classes can get things like a Ming's Heart or unique jewels to get damage as extra chaos, but Acolyte of Chayula gets so much extra chaos in the kit that it just really enables us to do it. And then we can take with that chaos, take that even a step further. So I'll break down all the skills and how we stack volatility right now. So first skill is Quarterstaff Strike. The only thing I'm using this for is to build up Withered on Pinnacle bosses, which again, like I said, after the skills, you'll see a video for that. And then it just has attack speed with Rage 3, rapid attacks for increased attack speed, Withering Touch to Wither, practice combo so that we get combo built for Mantra of Destruction, and Life Leech just so that we are leeching that chaos and physical damage we're dealing here. Alternatively, you could do Whirling Assault, but I wanted to have Stormwave as my filler, or you can use Ice Strike as your filler, or Wave of Frost as your filler. Literally, whatever you want your filler spell to be. Right now it's Stormwave. You didn't even see me use Stormwave in the map, but it just gives you an idea of kind of, you can really run anything you want as your filler. Whirling Assault is great as a filler for building combo, but for right now, I'm having Quarterstaff Strike as my filler. Into the Breach, it comes from our Ascendancy. It's just pick up some Mana Remnants, pick up some Purple Flame Remnants. These are not very good. If you don't go CI, you can take points out of Waking Dream and put it into Chayula's Gift for maximum Chaos Res, and Chaos Resistance is doubled. The rest of these, I would say, are actually pretty core to the build. So again, Ascendancy points, I know I didn't touch on that yet. We'll dive deeper into it. But since these skills are both offered by the Ascendancy, we'll do that. Void Illusion. Everyone was memeing on this, including myself, but there's a couple of things that makes it pretty powerful. One is staves can now come with a modifier that have +6 level to all attack skills from the Essence. And so Void Illusion gets 6 levels from this, so it becomes this nuclear bomb that you leave every time you roll. And when you're playing a Flicker-based character, sometimes you end up in a place you really don't want to be. Go ahead and dodge roll, and you'll blow up the screen right around you and blow up those exploding heralds, so you're instantly not in any danger. And right now we have Frost Nexus in here with Toll's Stillness, so that this freezes, and when Frost Nexus pops, creates chilled ground, so if there's any leftover mobs, we're chilling all of those mobs, stacking our volatility from inner turmoil. Elemental ailment is ignite, chill, freeze, shock, and electrocute, so lots of different ailments going out from Void Illusion just from us rolling, again getting that volatility counter higher and higher. Frost Nexus is really great for this because it's just as enemies walk into chilled ground, and it's literally counting that volatility meter up. And I a lot of times have over 50 to 100 stacks in maps from running Frost Nexus on this, where sometimes I'll put it in Herald of Thunder, swap in Herald of Ice with the armor break, and have Herald of Thunder freeze for Frost Nexus. But those are the first three. Galvanic Field is provided by this wand here. I really like Galvanic Field for our Catharsis, so you do need Catharsis in the build somewhere so that you can pop your volatility on demand. Otherwise, while you're flickering through maps like this, you'll never pop your volatility just by waiting. So I have it bound to Control R, just to show you what that looks like. When you have more than 20 volatility to detonate a random amount of it, I would just press Control R, and it's pretty instant because of the weapon swap. Is now instant with this patch. So again, I'll get back over 20, I'll randomly pop it, and it's instant. So basically we're just using a bind with Galvanic Field with rapid casting to pop Catharsis so that we can more on demand have our volatile power when we need it. Skeletal warriors. Those are provided also in the second weapon set with this rattling scepter. It doesn't need increased spirit, but it is nice because it'll let you have more minions that you can sacrifice to build your power charges for pre-bossing and pre-mapping. Now, why are we running, sacrifice? Well, it's just a really solid way to get power charges out of combat. The only other way that I could think of, and it's still in combat for pinnacle bosses, is A-list chimes building combo and going that way. But for this, we really are just making sure that we are having our power charges. So I just have my weapon swap on a mouse keybind, so I have weapon swap, profane rituals on my T, and I'm pulling this. I've got all the power charges I need at a moment's notice. If you're out of combat, there's no cooldown on these, so you can swap all you want to build this up to the moon right before bosses. Taking me generally about 35 seconds to set up for pinnacle bosses to get me to a place where I have a comfortable amount of extra volatility. Great, I've got 108 volatility. I can go all the way to 200, but we're at a point where we don't need that much damage. Taking our tooltip on Flicker Strike, again, Flicker Strike doesn't take into account attack speed, whereas Quarterstaff Strike and Stormwave does. Just gets you an idea of kind of what that looked like. So went from 87k to quite literally double. It was around 140k when we had 100% stacks. And my DPS is actually really low because most of my tree is attack speed right now. So that's Skeletal Warriors Galvanic Field. Flicker Strike is the bread and butter here. The skills you're generally always going to have in while mapping is Rapid Attacks 2, or you can have Rage 3 here for attack speed. I'm using some Rage tech that I'll explain when we get to the gear section of this. So I don't want Rage 3 in here. Pinpoint Critical gets us crit capped, which is really important for if you need the damage, you can swap to a Garukin's Resolve. And so to swap Garukin's Resolve, we would take Hit and Run out with Garukin's Resolve because you can't use them together. And essentially this just doubles our critical damage bonus is what Bifurcate critical hits is. So basically, since we're 100% crit, we technically have 484% critical damage bonus in this example. So rapid attacks, pinpoint critical to make it so that we get to cap. Close combat 2, just 30% more attack damage. You get that all the time because Flicker obviously is a melee attack. And then hit and run for 40% more skill speed so that you don't have that big wind up when you're going into packs. And that's really why I'm spec'd so much into attack speed, is Abyss areas can get pretty rough when you land your Flicker in a really juicy area. So I want to be able to Flicker quickly so that I don't get overrun. Right now we have Esht's Radiance in here, and that's just to make sure that we're shocking as much as possible to pop Herald of Thunder. And because our staff and charge staff provides us so much flat extra lightning, we're getting 3000 tooltip when we don't have charge staff up. When we do have charge staff up, we're going to get even more from that. I'll wait for volatile power to fall off so that you can see, we go up to 94,000. So this is giving us 5,000 damage just from getting extra chaos that way. So again, even more extra chaos on our tooltip there. Charge staff. This is now more insane than it's ever been. It already was super worth it if you're a power charge based character. I'm running 8 power charges. Charge staff is an attack skill, which gets skills from the new essence plus level 2 all attack skills. So charge staff, instead of 2 to 40 added quarterstaff attack lightning damage, if I take this off, it's 1 to 22. So just wearing this quite literally doubles the power of charge staff and that's 2 to 4 added quarterstaff attack lightning damage per power charge. So that's 8 times 40. So that's, 16 to 320 added attack lightning damage, which is more than even a pretty highly rolled lightning damage. I think T1 is still even less than that. So basically, having an 8 charge staff is equivalent to having T1 flat lightning on your quarterstaff. It's insane. With that, we're putting in prolonged duration too, so that we don't have to be reactivating it nearly as often. Withering in touch primarily for bosses. If you don't want to stack up Wither with Quarterstaff Strike and use Mantra, this will apply Withering just as you're flickering, so that if you don't want to do boss setup for the top damage with setting up combo, you don't have to. I just have Mana Leech in here because I don't have a ring with Mana Leech. That's my next thing. I want to get Leech's life and Leech's mana instead of the cold res. Otherwise, ring would look pretty similar. Ignite 3 and Zoph's Pyre. The only reason I'm running Ignite on this is as I get into the passive tree, you'll be able to see what that is all about. So this is just so that we're igniting, so it's another ailment that we're applying that boosts our volatility stack generation, and then also gives us the boost for nodes like damage per elemental ailment on an enemy. Profane Ritual ties in nicely with Skeletal Warrior. I'm using Unleash so that 3 get popped when I cast it once. Charge Profusion for additional charges. Overabundance so the charge comes back to us faster after we've casted it, and Rapid Casting so that we can have that coming back to us really quickly. And then the real engine to all of this for being able to exclusively use Flicker in maps like you saw in the demo at the beginning of the video is Reaper's Invocation. It's only 30 Spirit, which was buffed at the beginning of 0.3, which we have Profane Ritual, Boundless Energy so that we get more energy, Charge Profusion 2, Overabundance 1 for 50% less skill effect duration, and Compressed Duration for an additional 35% less skill effect duration. 85% less skill effect duration effectively makes it so that the power charges are coming back to us instantly. Sacrifice, unfortunately, this did get nerfed. We can't use it only in the second weapon set. We have to use it in both, so this is eating 60 Spirit. But the trade-off is being able to constantly have power charges on demand out of combat, which is extremely powerful. And that sacrifice, I'm putting +1 of supported minion skills in here, just so that the revive more slowly is lowered. Because as you get this higher and higher level, your minions will revive quicker while you're in combat, which has some uses. Right now I'm using Herald of Thunder. Obviously I have Herald of Ice here as well. For Herald of Ice, I would literally just swap this in, put Magnified Area, Break Armor, Toll's Embrace, Deadly Herald, and Life Leech. You don't have to use Life Leech, I just like to for additional comfort. And then I would just swap Esh's Radiance with Void Illusion here, so that we're freezing now. So literally no functional difference other than what Herald we're deciding to use. So you can literally pick and choose what you're doing. But the most important thing on Herald is, big area of effect, armor explosion, because Ul Natal's Embrace will break armor and give you those double explosions. Deadly Herald, you don't have to run this. You can run anything else that's a damage boosting thing for your Herald. I just have the Spirit for it. And then Life Leech 3. Again, this is just whatever you want to put in here. You can put like Cold Skill or Lightning Skill or whatever. Mantra of Destruction. I like using this a lot in maps because Flicker can stack the purple flames up to 10. So how Mantra of Destruction works is essentially once you use combo, you activate it, you flicker, you Falling Thunder, you do whatever you want to do. And for every enemy killed by this, you gain a stack of Purple Flame of Chayula. Purple Flame of Chayula is a stacking buff that grants 7% of damage as extra chaos damage, stacks up to 10 times. They buffed the duration on this significantly. It used to only be 6 or 8 seconds in previous patches. Now it's 20 seconds, and the empowered attack used to cap out at about 40 damage as chaos. This is now around 70 damage as chaos. So damage got buffed. The required combo got buffed. The duration of the Flames of Chayula after you've killed something got buffed. So generally speaking, with Prolonged Duration 2, we're having this up for approximately 26 seconds at a time, which is enough time that you can flicker 7 times, reactivate mantra, and then just constantly have mantra of destruction buff rolling during maps. And then obviously 69% of damage is chaos if you do want to build combo on a boss, but it's not necessary to one-shot bosses. Stormwave I talked about earlier. You can really slot anything in here. The most important thing, in my opinion, would be rage, rapid attacks, mana leech, life leech, whatever you want to do here. This is just your utility skill. This is not going to be our bread and butter mapper. But if you didn't want to flicker and you wanted to use this tech anyway, you definitely can do that. And you can just optimize your Stormwave, your Ice Strike, your Tempest Flurry, your Charge Staff with the way to kind of take advantage of this tech. And then lastly, we're running Despair with Heightened Curse, Cursed Ground, Chaos Mastery for Chaos skills, and Focused Curse just so that it erupts a little bit faster. All of this is just quality of life for big chaos damage when we're bossing. We put it specifically on weapon set 2, which I will explain in the passive tree breakdown. Now you should be seeing a clip of me one-shotting a various boss. But there's a lot of great tech in the gear as well that you'll be able to see. So I was teasing that this may be Original Sin viable, and the reason why I didn't end up using an Original Sin is simply because Ming's Heart is insane. And if I go to my tooltip, this would be effectively what the damage difference is. With Original Sin, I'd be doing 43,000 damage. With Ming's Heart, I'm doing 64,000 damage, because Original Sin does nothing other than converts our elemental damage that we do to chaos, and we lose 20k tooltip just in a ring slot. So that's why I'm not running Original Sin. If you want to do only chaos and do all that kind of stuff, feel free, but just know that it's definitely not optimal, and there's not a real major reason to do it. With that out of the way, that's the first ring slot, is a Ming's Heart, because it just gives us a shitload of damage as extra chaos, which again, we take advantage of more than anybody through the leech in our ascendancy, which is very important that we're leeching a shitload because we're running Essentia Sanguis, which life leech is converted to energy shield leech, and that's how we are sustaining our life pool, because we're running blue life energy shield, and we want this to stay topped up at all times. Because when we're mapping, we're at about 6,800 via this node on the passive tree. You get 40% increased energy shield when you've consumed a power charge, which we're always consuming power charges. So that's what that ends up looking like. It's right around 6,800 shield while we're mapping, and we're leeching all of that. The dream here is to get one with +1 melee skills. So I probably should have picked one up before I dropped this video when you guys all go to buy it. For the quarterstaff, I had a way shittier quarterstaff that was literally like a div, and I was still doing basically the same thing. And I was still one-shotting pinnacle bosses and all that kind of stuff. This is just my upgraded staff. Most important thing is that the runes are socketed with damage as extra chaos. One of the other things that's pretty important is we don't want weapon elemental damage. We just want really flat, high damage rolls. So you're generally looking for, as a starter for this, something in the 400 DPS range with 6 level attack skills and as high a critical hit chance as you can find. You can find those kinds of staffs for anywhere from a div to 5 div to 50, 100 div, depending on your budget of how much damage you want to be doing, because obviously the bigger the quarterstaff, the bigger your damage is going to be. But the most important thing is it's not melee skills, it's attack skills. And attack skills is far and away better because we're essentially getting half of a T1 flat lightning from charge staff just by running attack skills instead of melee skills. Next is our helmet. It's actually kind of a shitty helmet because it's such low energy shield, but I really needed the extra critical hit chance to help me get capped. But the most important thing on the helmet is decent energy shield or whatever your defensive preference is, and a +1 max power charge here, and resistances. +1 max power charges gets us to 8 instead of the 7 that's available with just the tree, which is fantastic. This is just a high energy shield chest. I can get way higher. I just haven't wanted to spend the money on it yet because I'm trying to upgrade other stuff. You can get spirit here if you'd like, if you don't want to try to get spirit on your amulet. This build baseline only needs 120 spirit. If you want to run Deadly Herald, which I strongly recommend, I would go for 140. If you want to run Double Herald instead of Despair, go to 150, etc., etc. So spirit can go on chest or amulet. And for chest, again, it's just energy shield and some resistances. For amulet, I got really lucky crafting this one. These are this kind of archetype with the high crit, the high spirit, the 3 melee skills, rarity, big energy shield. All of this is generally probably worth around 50 div. I'm not going to say that this is going to be easy to find, but the stats that you are trying to prioritize are melee skills, spirit, and critical hit chance, and then defenses for the other 2 prefixes instead of spirit. Or if you get spirit on your chest, then you want to make sure that you have crit, melee skills, and defenses. You can generally get enough crit from your tree. I am not actually spec'd into a ton of crit, but you can get crit capped on tree pretty easily. So really +3 melee skills, and then the increased maximum energy shield and 2 maximum energy shield are the other modifiers I would look for. For Anoint, I'll actually get into this when I get into the passive tree next. I'm going to also slot in another map clip or something to entertain you guys in between this so that you can see what that's going to look like. But that's pretty much it for the amulet. Our ring is not 100% solid either. I may actually go away from increased chaos damage because they're really hard to find rings with increased chaos damage because people just aren't target crafting those. I don't know if it's actually better for that or just to have flat damage, but basically we're just looking for flat damage on the prefixes. If you can get increased chaos damage, great. If not, that's fine. Resistances, and then the most important thing is you do need a leech as life modifier. There's ways to solve mana without using mana leech, but the dream ring opposite of Ming's heart is going to be 2 all elements resistances, double leech, tons of flat damage. Pretty straightforward. If you run the energy shield variation, you definitely want to run a heavy belt. This build definitely can fit a headhunter. My good buddy and lover of the stream, Reese, is running a headhunter and making me look like an idiot by doing my build way better than I'm doing my build. So thanks for that, buddy. But the increased stun threshold is actually super important. And then right here, the only thing that matters is I have stun threshold and a bunch of res on it. And then lastly, for our boots, is just big energy shield, decent movement speed, and some resistances on here to be able to just boost up our defenses even more. Again, for defenses, you can go the deflection route, you can go the evasion route. You would just change up the tree a little bit to prioritize hybrid instead of flat ES like I have, and still get yourself a comfortable amount of energy shield leech. If you want to go life leech and then get a better damage pair of gloves, you definitely can. This was just my preferred way to solve defenses. You can solve defenses your own way. The build isn't 100% required to be full ES. And it's probably harder to pull off full ES. I just like the aesthetic. Last piece of tech in our gear is going to be Blood of the Warrior. Because we're CI, we don't get any benefit from running a life flask. But with Blood of the Warrior, we do. So essentially, I get no inherent loss of rage during effect. And then this is also just constantly rolling. It's a 7.5 second duration, so I'm just clicking the flask as I'm going through the maps. So generally speaking, I didn't show this in my demo at the beginning of the video, but I am using the rage that I'm getting from Stormwave. I just get up to 30 rage so that I'm getting the 30% more attack modifier. And then using Blood of the Warrior to maintain that throughout the whole map. So I don't have to run rage on hit on anything. I just have it in Blood of the Warrior and a skill gem in my filler skill, which again can be anything you want. Ice Strike, Wave of Frost, Whirling Assault, Stormwave, whatever floats your boat. Last thing on the skill gems that I didn't necessarily call out, I just want to double check that I did. Momentum and Garakan's Resolve you would swap in for Esh's Radiance and Hit and Run so that you're just doing more damage. Momentum is confirmed to be working as a 40% more damage multiplier on Flicker. For the charms, do whatever you want, whatever you feel you're needing. And that's it for the gear. Here's another quick Flicker clip. All right. Quick Flicker clip. Now passive tree. Now really most notably is one of the very, very, very important things about this passive tree is Unstable Bond. Unstable Bond allows us to stack volatility pre-boss very easily. Again, just to show you that demonstration, you get 3 volatility when a persistent reviving minion is killed. We're getting those reviving minions from a scepter. We are sacrificing them to get the charges, and then that's how we're stacking up volatility for bosses. So your absolute most important passive tree node is Unstable Bond. Now you can anoint this. You can get the From Nothing Diamond with Black Flame Covenant like I have. You can get it on a Megalomaniac. There's lots of different ways for you to attain this. Because I have it on Black Flame Covenant, I'm also running Stormbreaker, getting 20% increased damage for each type of elemental ailment on an enemy. This can go 60 to 80% depending on what ailments you're running for bossing. So it's just a big damage multi as well. So that's the Zealot's Oath I'm running, and really the most important part of why the damage on this build gets so insane for bosses. I do run 2 weapon sets, which I'll go through, but generally speaking, for ascendancy points, my preferred 4 if you're CI is Inner Turmoil for no damage from volatility and volatility on elemental ailment, Sap of Nightmares for leech, Void Illusion for an oh shit button when you put yourself in a bad spot while flickering, and then Waking Dream because there's nothing else, and we can get some mana regen and pick up some purple flames every once in a while. If you're running not CI, definitely go Chayula's Gift. So these 3 are the most important: Grasp of the Void, Sap of Nightmare, Inner Turmoil, and then depending on if you're CI or not, you'd go Chayula's Gift or Waking Dream. If instead of Waking Dream you want to go Unraveling, you can do that too, but I think Unraveling's pretty useless for the build because we're already kind of capping our volatility generation anyway. Going skill speed, critical damage bonus, flow like water, mindful awareness, skill speed. Some people might need to take crit to help get yourself crit capped. I went away from that because now I'm just in the quality of life section of mapping, so I went skill speed, but either of these paths are totally acceptable. Here, these attack damage nodes are really powerful, and they're just connected directly to our tree. So we're getting 55% attack damage from these 4 points. This here is just critical hit chance, critical damage bonus. Again, you can get crit, getting your power charges, getting your crit, getting big ES, getting more big ES, more ES. This is also important. Ailment and stun threshold equal to 12%. This one's not as important to take early on. This is just me extra beefing up for tier 16 juiced maps. The more important nodes I'll show later. Power charges. If you need some more damage, you can pick up Blinding Strike here as well. But again, I spec'd out as for more attack speed and defenses. Killer Instinct, tenfold attacks. This area is really great. Some crit right here. Again, I went Chakra of Thought for more attack speed, but you can put these 5 points elsewhere. But this is basically 19% attack speed in this area, which is great. Double power charges here. Quarterstaff nodes here. Probably pick these up eventually once I can solve more of my crit. But I just wanted to take these out for more defenses and attack speed. But Throat Seeker is a huge damage bonus. Down here to Struck Through, Heartbreaking, and Heart-Stopping. Again, just some big crit. Our current Megalomaniac has Doomsayer and Overwhelm. I found this for a div. You can put in a Megalomaniac for this, or you can do like Unstable Bond like I was talking about so that you can anoint something else, or like an Against the Darkness with damages extra chaos, like really whatever you want to do. I think Against the Darkness kind of got nerfed because there's just, this used to be a 5 node area. This is now only a 3 node, so I don't think Against the Darkness is as strong anymore. Then we go up this way. This is another area where you can get a shitload of crit. But if you need it, I don't. This is where you can get CI. And then these are the stun threshold nodes that I was talking about. If you're getting stunned, this is why. A basement gives you stun recovery and it's 50% stun threshold of your max energy shield. Stun threshold, as a clarifier, is based on your life total. So when you go CI, you have a stun threshold of 1. So you really need some stun threshold as ES. And right now, just so I have extra, I'm also running Mystic Stance, but you can put these 2 points elsewhere if you feel you've solved for stun threshold. And then lastly, we're just going over to Patient Barrier. This is where we have our From Nothing slotted. And our last one here, really do whatever you want with this, but this Heart of the Well, it is just some more attack speed. Leeches instant, just to help our leech be more consistent, and recover some mana on kill, because right now I don't have the mana leech on my ring like I want to. And that's the passive tree, currently level 93. Should be getting on up to like 95, 96 very shortly. Now that is the full passive tree for what our main weapon set is. Weapon set 2 is just essentially for bossing and cast speed quality of life. So Spell of Haste, cast speed right here, Curse Magnitude and Area of Effect right here, Curse Magnitude here, Curse Magnitude here, cast speed here. So that's really all we're doing for second weapon set, is boosting Curse Magnitude, so our minus Chaos res Curse is just huge, and then getting some attack speed to make it so that the Unstable Bond minions sacrificing tech goes faster than normal. Again, I prefer running Galvanic Field so that I can manually pop Catharsis with it, and then the only thing you need on a wand is a quick casting spell that's included for free if you want to run your Catharsis there, and huge attack speed. Or not attack speed, cast speed. But that's really the full guide. I hope that you really enjoyed the tech. I think it's the craziest AoE clearing tech that exists, and the thumbnail is not bait. The title is not bait. I really think this is the fastest mapper in 0.3 for Path of Exile 2. Thanks again. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments, join the Discord to ask, or catch me streaming live as I'm continuing to optimize this build. Once I have this build fully optimized, and we're pretty close, probably going to be trying to spell Chayula and just seeing what I can do there. So that'll be kind of what some more of the content of this league looks like. Please like, comment, and subscribe. The best way to support the channel for me to be motivated to continue making these videos. Thanks everyone, and have a great night.